I strongly believe that hugs could save my marriage, but since I'm not receiving any, I'm filing for divorce. Am I overreacting? I'm 33 female, and I'm in a completely touch-free marriage. Years of begging for affection have left me feeling rejected. Forget sex, that was unilaterally shut down a while back. I am so broken and depleted, and such a weakling, that I would stay for the kids if I just get the occasional hug or snuggle. However, that never happens. It's a desperate, suffocating existence. But I now know that I deserve love and affection. I just hope it's not too late to attract the right partner. But first, I believe that the best action to take is to file for divorce. Am I overreacting?
No. That's easy. This one's easy. And it's so sad. I mean, that breaks my heart. I did hear a relationship specialist, something, who knows what. I saw a video on TikTok. Let me be honest. That's what it was. They were saying if you hold hands, you have to hold hands and stare into each other's eyes for 5 whole minutes every day, that you can essentially save your relationship. You can build a really strong relationship because it's the subliminal things that are inside of that. And also you release a bunch of endorphins and you're looking into the eyes of the person while that's happening, which makes the connection deeper. So there's real science behind it. And also I just think you deserve love in your life. And if you're not getting that, it's very sad to think that, you're going to not be in a household with both parents. Like, you have children. It sounds like you really care about them. And I know that piece will be really difficult. But I think your children would agree with me in saying that you deserve to be loved. And just like you want them to be loved, you deserve that for yourself. It's just unfortunate that your partner or your husband is unable to see how badly you need that. And maybe they'll know it once it's gone and be regretful, but you shouldn't wait around for someone to change, so long as you communicated that very clearly, asked for what you needed. And if those needs aren't being met and there's no alternative to that, that's okay. It's okay to move on.
We discussed love languages on our first episode together. And if you, the viewer, haven't checked it out yet, do so right after watching this one. I promise you will not be disappointed. Annabel and I thoroughly explore so many intriguing topics. But back to love languages. My top 2 are quality time and physical touch. So if one of those were absent, for me, the relationship wouldn't last long. And for some people, it's acts of service or words of affirmation, gifts, all different kinds. I think it's like if people have at least one of the top 2, if not both the top 2, it's generally a good sign that the relationship has some life. And if they're out of sync, it's really challenging. I've seen it. But in OP's situation, it's obvious that for her, physical touch is important. Now that she knows that, moving forward, it's her job to communicate that to potential partners. Some people believe that physical affection is a biological and energetic necessity for humans to thrive. I happen to be one of those people. Because when we're born, touch is the first language. It's the first experience we have. At a high vibe level, humans are energetic beings. So when we touch someone that we love, whether it's a hug, holding their hands staring at each other, or a hand on a shoulder even, our nervous systems synchronize with that person. I think the scientific term is co-regulation. And if one person is vibrating at a frequency of high stress or anxiety, the touch from someone who's more grounded can literally pull them back into a state of peace. That's how powerful touch can be.
The worst part would be to know that you need that, have communicated that, been denied it, and then deny yourself that. You have to also make that choice to be like, I deserve this. I want my life to be full of this. It is never too late to go and seek that out. And when you go through this next chapter of your life, it might be a romantic partner. It might also be really crazy, awesome friends, or a better relationship with your children. Because maybe if you're not in a household where you feel like you're deprived of being who you are, you're a better parent. And you're getting more love and snuggles and all the goodness from being a parent from your children. And you're filling all your other cups when you take away the one that feels like it's a weight on your ankles. And instead of pulling yourself down because all you're ever thinking about is how you're not good enough, nobody loves you, somebody doesn't want to touch you. That's a terrible feeling. And so to take that away because that person isn't there anymore, you've then opened up your ability to accept from other sources. Instead of relying on the one that's denying you outright, no thank you. Why do that? Go explore your other avenues, explore life. There's a lot of hugs to be had from people who love you, or will come to love you. And to deny yourself that opportunity is so silly, in my opinion.
That's a great point. That's a great point, because it's not, if you're choosing just to stay for the kids, but you're denying yourself something that you so deserve and want. I mean, that's also a terrible example to set for them, whether they actually understand that then or not.
Right.
I think they do on an unconscious level. I always talk about different friends who it's easy for us to see other people's situations, how, if we grow up with a friend whose mother, let's say, is very anxious and overprotective, I could see how uncomfortable my friend is around her when she's coming in, constantly sharing her worries, throwing it out there like, oh, don't go outside. It's freezing cold. You're going to get sick. It's only 50 degrees out there. It doesn't matter. There's a chill. It could rain. All these different things. Like, he's like, okay. He has to handle her as best he can. You could see that he's uncomfortable. Now, I think that she's been like that almost her whole life. And I think he kind of sensed that even as a very little kid. Even if you don't hear words, we can sense their energy. The energy of like someone who is anxious and wound up or suspicious or worried versus someone who's more calm and like, we'll deal with things as they come. It's not raining out yet. It's 50 degrees. Put a jacket on. You'll be fine. Stuff like that.
There is such a good experiment that they did, and I think it's called the facial experiment. So in my other life, I work in early childhood. I support the National Head Start Association, so I do lots of early childhood learning. And this experiment had a parent sit in front of their child who's in a high chair. They're feeding them, and they're giggling back and forth with them. They're making faces and reacting, and the baby's reacting. They had her leave the room and come back and sit down and do this. And the baby starts to cry. And so even though that baby cannot communicate with words yet, doesn't have language, the baby's too little, doesn't have language yet, but the baby can sense the emotional shift of the parent, and also that they're not getting a reaction back that is positive, and their response is to cry. And so if you extrapolate that out, that's a baby, which means that's inherent in our being. And Absolutely. You carry that, so however old OP's kids are, they know. You might think that you're fighting in a room with the door closed and you're being quiet while you're fighting, or they don't hear the offhand comments that you make to dad about not wanting to hug, or that you say, oh, mom needs a hug because dad never hugs, whatever those. And it's not to say that that's not really hard, and that like parents are also just human beings experiencing life, and that can all be really difficult. But if you make your space more conducive to a positive environment, your children will be better off. And if you're unable to do that with your children's other parent, and the safest, best option for your family is for you to move on, you're lucky in that you're not in a situation where you have to stay, I hope, where you're scared of leaving or, unable to leave for financial reasons or anything like that. But if you have the ability to sort of let yourself be free of that, do it.
Great story. Great story about that. It makes total sense to me because I do believe we have innate senses when we're born. It's the moment we're born. It just reminded me of how the classic, between a couple, it's like, hey, is something wrong? No. But you don't have to say anymore. The energy is clear. Something is wrong.
You can feel it when you walk into a room. And so,
exactly.
If it's been communicated clearly and it's not happening, you've got to find a space where, you can solve all those issues and it be like real, and ask for what you need and recognize what you need as a being, as a human being, and what you need to be happy in life.
Conclusion, a hug goes a long way.